Welcome to, I think, what is our fourth Collabinar for Folio. We're very excited today to have Geoff Wagg joining us from Episcopal Academy. He's going to be talking about the Mastership Program that they've developed over the last couple of years. And our attendance is pretty small right now, but this is being recorded, obviously, and so we're very excited to be able to pass this on to everyone. A couple quick things about Folio. We've been hearing some just great feedback from schools that are using the process with conversations. Most folks have completed their goals meetings by now, and the whole process seems to be going very, very well. We have some new schools that are joining us. We'll be sending out some information about that, and we're currently at 28 or 29 schools in the collaborative, and so we're actually finding that there's a lot of demand right now, and we're thinking about capping this year for the schools that will be starting for the 2013-2014 year. We're really thinking about capping that at around 50 schools. So while that sounds like a lot more than 30, what we're finding is there's a lot of demand. And so if you know schools that you think might be interested, please have them contact Lissa Kaltwriter. All the information is available at foliocollaborative.org, so we can start having conversations with them and make sure that if they want to get in on our work, they'll have the opportunity to do so. Without further ado, I want to turn over to Geoff Wagg, and thanks, Geoff, so much for being willing to join us today and tell us a little bit about this very exciting Mastership program going on at Episcopal Academy. Thanks, Geoff.
Thanks, Tim. So when you look at the title of Mastership, the word actually comes from the words mastery and craftsmanship combined together. And the idea behind the name is that we're all striving for mastery in whatever we do, and teachers, administrators, school folks are all craftsmen in their own ways in what they do. And Mastership was born out of this idea that we need to weigh into the mucky world of self-awareness and all of the sort of soft leadership skills that make teachers and administrators and coaches good at what they do. And so what I'm going to show you is a program that's now in its third year and really has been successful at getting after the qualities, the human qualities necessary to be really effective in the long term in the classroom, in offices around school, and on athletic fields. So let's just weigh into a couple of these slides here, and if you have any questions as we go along, please either type in the chat or
So we lost Geoff's audio for just a second. I think it might have something to do with noise that's coming back. Geoff, are you back? Hey, Geoff, we lost your audio. I don't know if you can hear me.
When he hit whatever he did, he hung up on the phone call.
I should be back now. Sorry about that.
I think you are. Geoff, can you hear me as well?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Sorry about that. Anyway, hopefully we can edit that out. But so here is the genesis of Mastership. Came out of conversations that were happening at Episcopal conveniently all at the same time. One of those conversation threads was, how do we help elevate really good teachers to being superb teachers? What are the qualities that sort of prevent somebody from really being even better at what they do in the classroom? And all of those qualities that people were not necessarily really able to overcome had to do with the interpersonal realm, their connections with kids. They may be subject specialists and really good at reaching 3/4 or all of their class most of the time, but there was something missing in the sort of affective qualities in what they were doing. And the second thing that was happening at the same time was a conversation with people about their career aspirations. At a faculty meeting in December of the year before we started Mastership, I just asked folks, to come and see me to let me know what their career aspirations were. I don't think anyone at Episcopal has ever really asked on a large scale where people hope to go with their careers and what sort of things they want to do. Was being the best teacher in the classroom their aspiration? Was it to be a department chair or director of athletics or whatever? And from that question at that faculty meeting, I had 15 plus people who made appointments to come and see me and share stories about everything from wanting to be a varsity coach of one of our girls' teams to just really having an opportunity to excel in the classroom or take up a leadership position in an academic realm. And that struck me as one of these situations, well, once you ask the question, what do you do? What's next? And we realized we have an opportunity to build a program that would help people develop the skills necessary to take on leadership roles. A lot of times when you make in-house hires in schools and you move them up through the ranks, you're sort of guessing as to whether or not they'll be a good department chair or a good division head or even a good varsity coach. And we wanted to design a program that would give folks an opportunity to try things out in areas to see, one, whether they were still interested in that post after they got a little time to see what the job was really like, and also learn about what their own skill set was and what they'd need to work on to be successful in that role, or discover things about themselves that would make the role potentially incompatible. And no matter what happened, we thought that would be a good thing to do. So Mastership is a year-long program. We call it a experiential version of a master's degree, although you don't get a master's degree at the end of it. You do, however, get a bump in pay. Every Mastership graduate receives a $1,000 stipend at the end of the program added to their base pay, so that will stick with them for as long as they are at Episcopal. And it's designed both for classroom teachers and future leaders of the school. And in order to train our teachers on 21st century teaching skills, the base requirement for each of the components of this program must be experiential. So if you think about a typical class, these classes happen every Wednesday evening from 6 to 9 p.m. and then one Saturday a month. And a Saturday is usually from 9 to about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This is the commitment that these teachers make. And the group size is about 10 folks. Now the program, as you can see on the slide that's up, is broken down into 10 different elements. And we designed this program in hopes of getting as many people in the EA community to participate either as mentors, as facilitators of one of the core program elements, or as participants. And the 10 participants are chosen from the applicants. This is our third year. We have 10 participants this year, and they range in experience level from a second-year teacher all the way up to a 32-year veteran of the school. And they come from all three divisions of the school, so we have lower, middle, and upper school faculty members as part of it. So these are designed, the program elements are designed to be layered, and they're designed to be individual units run by a group of people that only works on that unit. So we minimize the time facilitators have to be involved in the program to about a month, which would be 4 Wednesday evenings and 1 Saturday. And like any good program, the first element is building trust among the participants and their mentors. And you can see the base layer over there on the left, cohort building and trust. We use outward bound techniques to do that. There's a 2-day outward bound program that we do in August with the participants and their mentors. And that is designed just to get them connected with each other and to get them in a place where they're going to be able to give and receive critical feedback, which is one of the most important elements that we're going to do through the program. And then we layer onto that an incredible amount of information about each participant that we have collected and they have collected from their peers and from their supervisors. So we do a full 360-degree evaluation. We ask them to do a self-evaluation. We actually use the same evaluation systems that they use for NAIS's Aspiring Heads program. And our participants learn an incredible amount about themselves through this process. They get student feedback, colleague feedback, supervisor feedback, and they get a real sense of what people think are their strengths and what people think are areas that they can grow. Once they have that information, they sit with their mentor and they share all of that information with their mentor, and together they come up with a plan of action for the year. What are the skills and things that they're going to need in order to be successful, and what are they aspire to do, as well as to be successful just in what they're doing at this very moment. And for 3 years now, all of the supervisors of people in the of the participants in the program will tell you that even right after they get all of this 360-degree feedback, they are already making changes in their work and in their classroom in a positive way. With that, just having critical feedback, which is one of the things that you learn when you're doing folio, conversations that are actionable conversations where you're giving feedback to people that is really honest and reflective, can make an immediate difference in the life of professionals. So once we have the action plan in place and this critical feedback, we then go into a series of components that we think represent essential skills for anybody who works in a school, whether that be in the classroom setting, administrative setting, or on the athletic fields. And this component that's noted here is Layer 2 on written and oral communication. As I said at the beginning, is taught in an experiential way, but it's not taught in a lecture and then try it out way. We also bring in people that will teach it in an interesting way. So this component at Episcopal is taught by our Director of Communications, our drama teacher, and our creative writing instructor. So when they learn about written communication, for instance, they will do a series of exercises from having to write a memo to the faculty on some topic, a parent letter, or an email back to a colleague that has sent them a terribly hurtful email. And they have to do it from a creative writing perspective. And they learn the techniques of creative writing so that their writing is actually more interesting than you might find typically in that kind of communication. On the oral communication front, we have our drama teacher teach oral communication and then practice it using improv techniques. Because when you are learning improv techniques, you're learning how to read your audience, you're learning how to be playful with your audience, and you're learning how to present information off the cuff. And we all know in schools, whether we're in the classroom or in the workplace, in the administrative setting, there are plenty of times when you have to speak off the cuff. And learning techniques of how to do that effectively and maintain communication with people is helpful. The sort of tail end of this particular layer is to begin to do some things in the crisis communication mode. So we'll set them up with a scenario where there might have been a lightning strike on campus and someone may have been injured, and now you have to get up in front of people, perhaps journalists, and present the face of the institution. What does that feel like? How do you do that? How do you write an email to go out to the community in an emergency setting in a way that effectively communicates what needs to be communicated while also not freaking people out at the same time? Once we get through that component, we then move into what I think is probably the most powerful series of workshops and experiences, and that's the counseling and conflict resolution. For better or worse, we all work in a situation where conflict comes up from time to time, either with colleagues or with students or with parents. And how you effectively deal in those situations, whether you're the classroom teacher, the coach, or the administrator, makes a big difference, both in the sort of tone and tenor of the school and in your own sense of wellness in your job. So we start that, as we did this week, with an introduction to basic counseling techniques and effective listening strategies and how you work as a counselor or good listener. And then we move into a series of role plays. We actually ask people to give us their nightmare scenarios. So in your job, whatever it is, what are the things that you worry most about? Is it the angry parent conversation? Is it the dealing with a colleague that's done something they shouldn't have done? Is it a racial situation with a student? And we take those role plays, we add a few of our own that we've developed over the program's life, and then we set them up. And I'm going to put a slide up so you can see sort of what these look like. Here is a mean girl scenario. This is one of the role plays that we've used. And we give instructions to the student, and I'll flash up on the screen what this looks like. Here's a typical role play situation. So on the left, you see a student. This is a senior student of color who graduated last year. And on the right is one of our religion teachers. And what you don't see is the video camera that is videotaping this role play and the 6 people that are sitting watching and critiquing the participant as they go through the role play. So if you look at this, the foil, in this case, it would be the senior student. You're a 5th grade student who's invited 10 girls over to your house for a sleepover. You hand out invitations at the school, and when another girl asked if she could come over, she said no, and this was a private party. You do not like the girl, and certainly did not want her at the party. Your teacher has asked to speak to you about the party. And so in this particular case, we give this student some directions about how she should play the role out. And then the participant, where it says Mastership, is only given this information. They don't know the instructions that have been given to the girl in this case, and they have to role play it out. And when you look at this picture, they'll role play it out here, and then they, with their mentor, will have an opportunity to critique the video, and they'll also get feedback both from the student that's involved and also all of the participants that are watching this at the same time. The power of this, I can't even begin to tell you what an impact this is. If you imagine having to put yourself out there in front of students in a way that makes you incredibly vulnerable. The first year that we did this setup, the participants in the 2 weeks prior to us doing this completely freaked out and had no desire whatsoever to actually do this with students. And we convinced them that it would be okay, that the students that we had chosen had agreed to keep everything confidential and to really do a good job. And after we had done it, with the students, the participants came back to us and said, yeah, you're right. This could never have been done as effectively if there were adults playing the student role. The fact that we had students in this added an element of realism that was very profound in the learning that happened as they went along. So some of the scenarios, I mean, imagine as you look at this picture that this is not a scenario about a mean girl. This is a scenario about an African-American girl who was offended that her teacher had presented Huck Finn in a way that was offensive, which is actually one of the real scenarios that we use. And we get into racial issues, we get into socioeconomic issues. We have a whole series of scenarios in which the participants are confronted with angry parents, and we have some parents that we recruit who are very, very good at playing the angry helicopter parent role. And what you learn by going through this a number of times over the course of this program unit is it desensitizes your worst fears to the point where you're much more effective at being able to deal in these situations. So after that that program element actually is run by our one of our chaplains, our director of student support, who's a trained psychologist, and our director of diversity and community life. We then move into styles of leadership, and the participants, this brings us around the January timeframe. They have an opportunity to trail any one of the school leaders that they want to for a day and spend some time with that person understanding their role. This gives people an opportunity who aspire to perhaps take on that role to see what real life is in those roles and get a sense of what that is. We also bring in some trustees to talk about the role of governance in a school and how that works. We have a meet and greet session. We have a Board of Trustees meeting that dovetails with this unit, and our participants have to learn how to go schmooze at a cocktail party with the trustees, which is something that many of these folks have never done before. And sometimes when you aspire to be an administrator in particular, that's one of the hardest things to get used to, is being in that role. And our trustees have an opportunity to give some feedback to the participants on how well they were able to schmooze in that cocktail party setting. And then one of the evenings, we bring in an outside head of school from a different school who tends to have a different leadership style than the one at Episcopal, so that they can learn about their life, their sort of ways and thinking on leadership, and their trajectory to the role that they have. We then have a variety of different things that we do. This year we're not doing the personnel and hiring. If we have people in the program that want to learn the techniques of personnel and hiring, we give them an opportunity actually to go off to some of the hiring fairs and work with our the person that does our recruiting for us, and they have an opportunity to learn how to do quality interviews and to find great people to work at the school. But the next major component is layer number 6 on your slide, which is observation, evaluation, and professional growth. And those of you that watched the earlier collaboration seminar that Folio did, you will have learned about our program in which we use this lovely device, which is a 360-degree video camera. This device is designed to capture an entire room of children and the teacher in context. And it looks sort of like this. You can see me teaching my AP government class over there on the right. And on the left here where I have the pencil going would be my students. And when you see this live, you can actually spin in panoramic format around the room. So in this component, what we're trying to teach is both good quality observation techniques and also this idea about how one becomes innovative. What exactly does that mean? So we asked the participants to pick a class that they will videotape with this camera, and they pick that class, and then they go and videotape it. And then we asked them to take their video and critique it. And on the screen where you see the pencil right now, they would go in and they would fill in comments as they're watching the video, and each of these little gray triangles represents a place where there has been a comment put in about what they're watching. And then they actually have their mentor do the exact same thing. And then when we come back as a group, we look at highlights of each of the 10 participants' video, and we congratulate them all on a job well done, because what they've done is what is typically done in classroom observations, which is that they videotape or you observe the teacher doing what they do really well. No teacher ever wants to look foolish in front of their observer, so they tend to retrench into their most conservative teaching style, and it looks good. And the videos have consistently come back with teachers doing really great things. Then we ask them to plan a different class, and we give them a couple weeks. We ask them to go back to one of the elements of the 360 evaluation that they did was a learning style inventory of themselves. And we ask them then to design a class in a teaching style completely different from what they are used to. And there's a lot of discomfort in the room, as you can imagine, and they go and they videotape that lesson, and they critique it, and they have their mentor do the exact same thing. And usually, not always, but usually those are not quite as good. They're usually still pretty good, but not quite as good as the original ones that they did when they were teaching the style that was very comfortable for them. And as we debrief that experience, they almost uniformly say that that was really hard. It was really uncomfortable to be videotaped teaching class in a style that was new to them. And then we make the connection between observation and growth. That if you want to use observation as a methodology for growth, the video should not be videotaping you doing what you do really well. It should be videotaping you doing something new so that you can get feedback on that and further develop your teaching repertoire and your teaching skills. We talk about, if you take a look at this image here, on the right you have an image of the classrooms at Exeter that are taught in the Harkness format, which is a particular method of teaching. And if you can imagine taking a videotape, let's say you go to a workshop at Exeter and you learn the Harkness method, and you come back to Episcopal and you start practicing in your classroom that method. Well, the teacher, this bearded guy right here, is at Exeter and can't really give you feedback on whether you're doing a good job replicating what you learned at Exeter. But if he has an opportunity, this teacher at Exeter has an opportunity to come and critique the videotape you took of your class, practicing the Harkness method, then you really are using observation as a way to really grow. And I like to make the argument that observation of teachers doing what they're good at is not ultimately the most efficient or useful way to use observation time. Using observation in this methodology that we're using in Mastership actually does make a difference in helping teachers to grow and further develop their skills. So if we go back to the core program slide here, as we come out of that teaching experience, then we're prepared to talk about innovation and change. Because our participants by that point are more self-aware about themselves, their own teaching styles, how they do their work. And we begin to ask them to do a series of activities that gets at the root of innovation and how one has a sort of position or posture of innovation. So imagine for a moment if you've ever seen the show on television called Chopped, where they give 3 chefs a basket, and in that basket are some crazy ingredients where they have to build a course. In one of the exercises we do during the innovation session is we break the participants into groups, and we give them a basket, and in that basket are a group of items and a topic, and they have to present a class, an experiential-oriented class, using the elements in the basket, and a few elements they can add themselves, and to make it interesting and dynamic. And we videotape those experiences and have them do a series that helps them develop an even greater awareness of various teaching styles and approaches to curriculum. The last layer of this program, or formal layer of this program, is doing a reassessment of how far they've come. This happens from mid-April to mid-May. They have a series of goal-setting exercises. We do not want the program to come to an end without them planning on what's coming next. And we ask them to consider serving as mentors to future Mastership participants. And then at the final Board of Trustees meeting of the school year in the middle of May, they come, they do a little presentation to the board on their Mastership experience, and then the chair of the board and head of school presents each of them with a Mastership diploma and thanks them for giving up so much of their time in this professional growth endeavor. Now, a few of the hidden elements of this program, one of them is learning about group dynamics. One of the important elements that we have in this is we give the participants, despite their busy lives, an opportunity to reflect. And every other week, every other Wednesday, the second half of their Wednesday, so from 7:30 to 9, they meet with a trained group facilitator. In this case, she is a group dynamics expert and a psychologist that works at a local university. And they meet for 90 minutes to talk about the program, the challenges that they're experiencing, the emotional ups and downs of getting high quality feedback. And they also learn as the process unfolds in those group counseling sessions all about group dynamics and the roles different people play in groups and how to create effective work groups within a school. And the other thread that really goes all the way through is this thread about equity and diversity. We want to make sure that in each of the elements there are questions and thought given to having to deal with people who may be culturally different from you, and what are the skills necessary to do that effectively. So whether it's in the counseling unit where we're using scenarios that affect different groups of students or parents or faculty, or the exercises in the written and oral communication. This equity and diversity thread is an important component in the design of each of the core elements. And then the last piece, we work with one of our health teachers and the director of our fitness center to create a wellness program for the participants. So we reinforce the notion that for you to be really effective in the classroom or as an administrator or coach, you need to take care of yourself from a health perspective. And so they build a wellness plan for each member, and we encourage them throughout the program to take the time to take care of themselves. So that is the program in a nutshell, and if you have any questions, please ask.
Geoff, one of the questions that comes to mind for me, thank you very much for your great presentation of this, is how is this thing managed, right? I mean, as I'm looking at it, I'm seeing how intense it is. Every Wednesday, it's 10 people. There's a 3-hour session plus one Saturday. Who is the person who takes responsibility for making sure that there's everything from dinner provided on a Wednesday session all the way through getting the guest speakers and the organization and making sure the whole thing stays on track?
So that person is embodied in the form of Tracy Lee, who is a part-time employee at Episcopal. She's actually the former president of our parent association. And she actually does two roles for us. She is the coordinator of the Mastership Program and takes care of all of the logistical details. I estimate that that is about a 10-hour-a-week role for her, sometimes a little bit more, most often probably a little bit less. And she also coordinates our hiring and outreach efforts. But she is the one that takes care of all the details of ordering dinner and making sure rooms are reserved and that speakers are coming and that each of the mentors and the program facilitators know what's coming, know what the group before them did, and manages. We have a Google workspace that we use to keep all the documents and the program materials and all the conversation threads in one place, and she manages all of that.
Thank you. The other people that are online, we have Josh and Catherine and Lissa and Kim and so on. If anyone has any questions, if you're not on via voice, if you want to just type those into the chat window on the lower left-hand side, we'd love to hear it. One of the questions as people are typing in any questions I would love to ask also, Geoff, is have you noticed that this has made a difference in over the long term in a teacher? Has it really had a sustained impact where a teacher who now maybe is 2 years out from participating, do you notice that there's still some evidence that that person had at one point participated in Mastership?
I mean, yes, our sort of window of observation is only 2 years out because it's the third year of the program. But just every participant in the program has said that this was the most valuable educational experience of their teaching career, more so than their master's program, I think in all cases. And for teachers that have been teaching for a long time, we've had a couple of veteran teachers teaching in their third decade. For many of them, it's rejuvenated their energy and excitement of being in the classroom and taught them new skill set. Not everyone has continued to grow in the ways that we would have hoped that they would, but I think many of them are continuing to grow. And really the essential skill of self-awareness, which I think is the basis that everyone has to have, both to be innovative and to continue to grow. This notion that I'm not perfect, I'm a work in progress, that there's valuable feedback that people could give me to help me be better at what I do. It's sort of a core element of the program, and the program is very successful according to the participants at doing that. The program is designed to be self-reflective. So we have a group of trustees, two of them, who are our auditors of the program. So in the late spring of each year, they come and do a full analysis of the program and its effectiveness. So they interview all the participants, the mentors, the facilitators, to find out, are we achieving what it is we need to do, and are we fulfilling our goals? And each year the program has improved because we're living out the same expectations that we expect of our participants in the program. Catherine asked the question of how many teachers we say. We have about 150 teachers from pre-K to 12. We're a 1,200 plus student campus. And that's part of the reason we have enough people that it could take us 10 or 15 years to make it through the entire faculty. And then Josh asked the question about the yearly cost of Teachscape and archiving that video data. Teachscape, the cost depends on how many faculty are using it. The camera itself is about $5,000. That's a one-time fee. And then The yearly annual could be from a couple of $1,000s to more, depending on how many teachers you're planning to have use the system simultaneously in 1 year. You can download the video data once it's uploaded to the Teachscape website, but it is archived at Teachscape so that anyone can get access to it. It's not limited just to folks here. And then Catherine asked the question, do you find that we're able to fulfill the aspirations of faculty members or aspiring administrators in-house? And you know, when we conceptualized this program, one of the questions that was asked several times is, what if somebody aspires to be the director of athletics and there isn't that position available because we have a person who's already there? And we decided that that is a potential risk in the program, that somebody would get trained or get experience and might fall in love with that position and it's not available here. And they may end up leaving Episcopal to go do that job somewhere else. We believe that the trade-off of that possibility is worth it when you have a program that helps people to grow like this. It's okay if that happens. We've had a number of positions in the last 2 years that have been filled by people who have been in the Mastership program, in part because administrators get to know these people better. The people making the decisions about who would be good at these positions have seen these people in action in different role plays and scenarios, and we have a much better sense of whether they're likely to be successful. And it's worked on the flip side too. We've had people who've said, I really would love to be a division head at some point. And then they trail myself or one of my colleagues for a day, and they realize after they do that, they have no desire whatsoever to ever be a division head after experiencing the reality of what that means. So it works both ways. And you know, that's a much better way to figure out if you want to be a division head than to apply for it and be rejected all the time, or to apply for it and get it and then hate it once you're in it. And so that really has made a big difference. So Lisa asks, how much does the program cost? We estimate that it costs about $35,000 to $40,000 a year. And that number will tick up over time as we add pay to people's salary in perpetuity. We justify the long-term commitment to giving people that $1,000 bump because we're teaching them skills that we think are essential to the mission of our school. You know, unlike a graduate program, you know, where they learn, you know, the general sort of content knowledge and sometimes the skills in one of these positions, we're teaching them skills that we think are essential for EA, and that makes them more valuable employees for us in the long term. So that's the program cost. And then Josh asked, why focus on leadership and mastership as opposed to the master teacher or educator? We do actually, we split it between the two. We give people the opportunity who want to focus on leadership. And I think, Josh, you may have joined the conversation after the opening part of the conversation where I said this teaches both faculty members who want to be master teachers as well as folks that aspire to be a master coach or a varsity coach or somebody that does in fact aspire to be an administrator. So it does all of it at the same time.
Great. Geoff, thank you for your time today. I think that this was incredibly helpful, and it's great to hear that. I think a program like this must be doing so much for those folks, and also for, I would imagine, everyone in the community who knows that EA values them and provides an opportunity for them to really grow if they want to, and to either move to a different position or become a true master of teaching or whatever position they're doing at the school. And just to know that the school is willing to make that level of investment in folks. It speaks very much to Josh at Culver Academies, and the notion, one of my favorite lines that when I visited Culver that they told me was this notion of high expectations, or incredibly high expectations, and incredibly high degree of support, and that being a mission of the school both for students and for faculty and everyone else. And I think that that's an incredible concept, and I think that certainly Mastership has shown that idea of incredibly high level of support for a group of faculty. If there's nothing else that anyone has, I'm going to go ahead and end our meeting. Again, I want to just say thanks to Geoff, and to congratulate Geoff also on his recent appointment to be the head of school at Waynflete School in Portland, Maine, beginning next year. Geoff, I think you're going to be an unbelievable head of school, and look forward to hopefully someday welcoming Waynflete into the Folio Collaborative. So
they happen sooner than you think.
So I think that it's a great day, and we really appreciate, Geoff, everything you did to help us out today.
Just one thing before you break. The official public unveiling of Mastership will be at NAIS here in Philadelphia in February, and we'll have a Mastership book for people that are interested in seeing the nuts and bolts behind each of the components of the program.
That's wonderful. Congratulations, Geoff. Josh, I see is typing, and cool, pass on that word. Great. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. See ya.